Good evening, folks, and welcome back again. It's myself, CSGB Jimbo Mancy, and tonight I'm joined by our co-commentator for F1, Dane Star. How you doing, Dane? What did you think of the sprint race we just had from the F1 tier?
Yeah, well, that race, it was quite a good race to watch, quite action-packed, to be fair. In the midfield, a lot of battling going on.
Yeah, it was a bit hectic, bit gutted that the safety car came out on lap 1, but yeah, it is what it is. So just while the guys ready up and we load into the race, we'll just run through the championship standings quickly. So after Holland, or Zandvoort, however you want to see it, James Dovey is leading the championship. He's on 86 points. However, very close behind him is our F1 commentator, Bowers. He's followed closely by Jake in third. We've then got Andre, who is going to be missing the next couple of races due to a race ban after his incidents in the previous round. He's in fourth. We've then got Pelderagus in fifth, followed closely by his teammate, Rizanovsky in sixth. Anton seventh. We've then got Thomas eighth, just Mikey ninth. Gogs is in 10th. We've got Abzi in 11th. Yargamal 12th. Then we've got Sask, the new driver, he's in 13th, with Elias in 14th. Kieran, who's missing the race tonight, he's in 15th. We've then got Bannister 16th, Adam 17th. We've got JW, who's left the league now, he's in 18th. Also with Tom Tyndall, or Norwich fan, he's left the league as well. And also Hooky, who's our reserve driver / invitational driver. But just back to the race, and things are looking a bit wet, Dane.
Yeah, we've got heavy rain conditions for this short qualifying session. Really going to test these drivers' abilities. I think this is a very technical, twisty track, Canada, so these guys will have to really put on their best show if they want to get onto the front of the grid this evening.
I must admit, I did cross absolutely everything that it was going to be a dry sprint race tonight for us. So it looks like the wet weather has held off, unfortunately, for the F2 guys. So we've got one of the Ferraris leaving the pits now. That is Anton.
You've always got to love a little bit of rain, don't you?
Yeah, we haven't had the conditions in for the race though, so it could be a wet qualifying dry race, or it could be a wet qualifying wet race.
I just wonder which guys will be risking it, whether they'll be trying out the wet setup for just to get track position, or dry setup and risk it all for the race if it is a dry race, of course.
Yeah, I think the only thing that you'd lose really on the wet setup, possibly straight line speed, so you'd become a bit of a target down the back straight and the DRS zones. But the downforce around here, relatively high on the rear anyway. I think I'm running 6 or 7 on the wings on the rear. I think my wet setup is a 10 on the rear, so not to give too much away, but yeah, if it was a dry race, what would you be doing? Would you be running a dry setup in the wet?
Or I'd be running the dry setup. In fact, I'd probably run the wet setup because I might try get the track position, because track position on this game is incredibly important, especially with the DRS trains that go on here, but maybe knock down the wings a little, that could work.
So Anton comes to start his first flying lap. It's very slippery through turns 1 and 2. And he's got a Red Bull in front of him, which hopefully jumps out of the way. He does, brilliant. And you can hear Anton from his onboard can't get on the accelerator straight away.
Yeah,
What do you think? What do you think the most difficult part of the track is going to be for the guys if the conditions follow this into the race?
Turn 57 easily. It's a huge challenge in the drive because it's just so slippery on exit. I think these guys will struggle. But then again, you can't really count out the wall of champions that can catch out any driver in any conditions.
Yeah, we saw a few guys get close to it last night and tonight in the sprint race for F1. So yeah, there is a chance that chicane will catch someone out. Hopefully it doesn't, and all the drivers make it through, but it didn't get its name for being an incident-free area. Ooh. Anton invalidates through the final chicane. And our first lap goes in. That's James Dovey, the 22.9. And I have absolutely no idea what wet pace is around here.
Yeah, Sack going 4 seconds slower, and
Thomas has gone a second faster, so... What would you do here, Dane? With, I think we mentioned it in one of the other races, was wet conditions like this at the beginning of the quali. Would you put a few extra laps of fuel in and just go out and get a feel for it?
Yeah, that's always my strategy when we go into like a league race and it's heavy rain. Just put some extra laps into the car, do as many laps as possible, get used to the conditions, and then fly out at the end of the session. But how about you? What's your strategy in these types of conditions?
Same thing. I would always just fuel up a little bit more. Go do maybe 3-4 laps, depending on the lap length, and then come back in, drop the fuel out, and go for the push lap right at the end. But you'd like to think in them sort of 3, 4, 5 laps, however many you do, you'll put a good banker in, and if worst comes to worst, you'll still have a time up on the board.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about these sessions, especially when it's heavy rain, is that usually at the end of
Absy round, sorry, in the last chicane. Yeah, Absy coming out of the chicane at the end there has gone off.
Yeah, it's picked up the wing damage as well on the front left.
Jump on board with Anton, and his wheels give the wall a clout, meaning he doesn't pick up any damage whatsoever. And we now have a yellow in sector 1, and is that Absy round again? It is, so he's stopping on the track. Oh, Jagermal goes pole by just over a tenth.
The gaps in these conditions are quite spread. We do have Bowers, my teammate in comms, I should say, putting it in P2, breaking into the 21s. So sudden lap from him, putting his Ferrari into the front row of the field.
Yeah, we've got the first 3 drivers split by just over a tenth. Then there is a gap of half a second back to James Dovey. He's now on another lap, or is he going to come into the pits? Nope, he comes into the pits and almost goes into the back of Anton's Ferrari. I would love to know what the conditions are going to be for the race. Let's see if we can get any info from the F2 drivers.
Well, I think judging by how these guys are driving, they are looking a bit twitchy. I know it's heavy rain conditions, but maybe these guys could be running a dry setup, you know. Maybe a little more aggressive in the suspension geometry, and a little lower on the ride height would make the car a little more twitchy in the rain.
Oh, okay. So we've got in the chat, James Dovey, dry race, but with a wet end.
Ooh.
So, well, the weather really has held off for these guys, as it was dry for both races in F1.
Giving these F2 guys all of the torture.
Yeah, it's definitely not set up on purpose in that way, I can assure you. Although I'm sure you wouldn't mind being out on the track tonight, would you, with the wet conditions?
Oh man, just get me a 16th car and let me at it. Hopefully it can be like this in some of my league races. But that is more important, as we are watching these guys have a go at it.
Well, you say some of your league races, but obviously for those watching, myself and Dane are teammates in the Precision tier in One Hub Racing. Where are we currently in the Constructors? Second, aren't we? And you're third in the Championship?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
And I think I'm sixth. So after
I think you
a
might jump up to fifth.
possibly, yeah, but that was after a well, was it a telling off that you gave me for not being here for Zandvoort? I'm not too sure really, but no, it's Dane does favour the wet conditions, something that Adam clearly isn't on track right now, as he's lost a good chunk of his front wing. We've got a couple of drivers with intermediate tyres showing on their display, so are the conditions easing off a little bit? It doesn't look like it's got any better since the start of qualifying.
I think the spray's definitely gotten a bit less. As you have, I think I've got a glitch on my screen that doesn't show the inters, but that is James Dolphy coming out on track to test out the intermediate conditions.
It is, so how is he going to get on with them? And he did miss Thomas, who has put himself back onto pole position, provisional, with a 1:21.6, so a great lap from himself there, and I think he has run out of fuel on his way back.
Yeah, I think all these guys now are just going to be coming into the pit lane. They've had enough of their long run on the wet and maybe looking to go into some intermediates. The conditions are looking quite better than what they were at the start of the session, so only really be expected.
Okay, well Dovey's just coming around the hairpin now, so we'll jump back to him when he starts his lap, as he will be the first of the intermediate runners. But yeah, Pro Mayhem has now gone onto the intermediates as well. So Dovey comes into the final chicane. Gets very close to the wall, but manages to continue. As Elias just puts himself up into P4 as well. Okay, so all eyes will be on James Dovey's first sector to see how he's performing against his time on the wets.
They're going through turn 3 and 4, that did look quite nice.
Yeah, he is up just under a tenth. Takes a lot of curb on the inside there, but he's got a bit of traffic coming up in front of him. I hope they see him coming and move out of his way. And the Ferrari does. And he gets away with taking a lot of curb on the inside of that corner there. Comes into the second sector and he is up by almost 2 tenths, so the conditions definitely suit in the intermediate tyre now. And I'm sure Jeff will be telling him that he has absolutely no idea which tyre he needs to go on at this point.
It is looking pretty crossover at the moment, but he was on a good lap at the moment. I think he's taking a little bit more conservative, going through the wall of champions, taking in third gear, just wants to get there.
Oh, he invalidates.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to go to the line and put his time in, and it would have been a 22.2, so he still would have been a bit slower than the guys ahead of him.
But speaking of the guys ahead of him, we do have the Ferrari man of Bowers going on to the intermediates. I think this guy will be the one to set the lap times on fire at the moment. Fresh intermediate compounds. Maybe he can even get into the 20s, depending if his lap is good enough. Oh, and that's Absy round on the Haas.
Oh, and he's been disqualified from the session. Did I just see there? He has, yeah.
wonder what he's done there to get himself disqualified, but that is Bowers now starting a lap, coming through at the exit of turn 2. He is losing a bit of the traction, but under the entry into turn 3, the first of the many chicanes, down to third gear, short shifting up into fourth, takes it really nicely, going through turn 5, does take a bit of a lift, locks up on entry into turn 6, but what can he do about turn 7, probably the hardest corner on the track. He holds it in third to avoid the wheel spin of short shifting, but it's looking quite a tidy lap right now. He's gone onto the second straight, then through turns 8 and 9, clipping the apexes really nicely, holding it in fourth gear. And now onto the heaviest braking zone of the track, the hairpin. Is he 6/10 down, or is that a glitch?
I did miss that on my screen, but
so, as long as the game is not deceiving at the moment, he isn't really looking to be on the best of laps, but he's not backed out of it yet, which is self-misleadingly. But going onto the run up into the final corner, the wall of champions, puts in fourth gear, takes it really nicely, and now onto the run up onto the start-finish line. What can this be? 2/10 down on his best.
yeah, I'm not sure the conditions are what they need to be. Now, Dobby's just come through the final chicane on a lap that's invalidated, but I think... No, he didn't invalidate his following lap as well.
See Jamal, he's 3/10 up on his lap going through the chicane, so hairpin. So no, the conditions are really quite confusing at the moment. I don't know whether the inters or the are still the player. But hopefully the guy can keep his composure through the final. Nice, quickly to the pit lane.
Just going to jump to Thomas as he comes through the final chicane. He's still on the wet tyres, so... And he does improve. Under a tenth. But Bowers, wow, Bowers has got the intermediates hooked up perfectly there, because he's now gone 8/10 of a second faster. So Thomas could be just about to drop down the standards here if everyone gets a good lap in, but we're not going to see Jagermel or Elias improve their times unless they get out of the pits very quickly. The other Ferrari of Anton has gone into P4. And it looks like James Dovey invalidated again when he was 8/10 up, so he would have gone 21.6 would have put him in third. Pro Mayhem goes up to second with a 21.0, so Bowers looking like he's got the edge in these conditions at the moment. Has he gambled a little bit more with the wet setup?
Potentially, but I do think it's finally time for the intermediates. The rain has been looking a lot lighter now, and what I find interesting is that Thomas has decided to stay on the wet instead of putting to the inter, so I think that's his chance of pole gone. We got the second Ferrari man though. I think he's currently up on his time. Still the run up onto the line. Where can this put him? Hopefully he doesn't. Oh, nearly getting into his way, but he does put the car into fourth position. I don't think Bowers is done with his qualifying gap. That's showing he is 4/10 up coming to the hairpin, so...
Okay, so we've jumped back to him as he comes down the final, or the back straight, should I say.
He's looking like a man on a mission at the moment. Through the final corner, really nicely done to the run up onto the line. He stays on the wet line. Where can this put him?
Wow. A 20.0, almost breaking into the 119s. Pro Mayhem has finished his qualifying session. Thomas's qualifying is over. Adam has got himself up to P4. Great showing for him. He's had a difficult start to the season. Oh no, Pro Mayhem is glitched out of the session, so hopefully he can get back in before qualifying ends. Because we've got the McLaren of Jagermal coming to the line now. He comes across the line with a 1:19.8 and he takes pole position from Bowers right at the death. A great lap from Jagermal, using the time to his advantage for the peak condition of the circuit as well.
Yeah, really good lap from him to put it about 2/10 quicker than Bowers. I thought Bowers really had at the end, but Jagermal from out of nowhere taking it.
He has, and that is it for qualifying. These will be the starting positions of the grid.
I've got to say that's a really good qualifying from the two Mercedes drivers, put it in 5th and 6th. Keep it there at the end of the race. These guys are going to pick up some really good points for the constructors.
Okay, so that is the end of qualifying. Dane, if you want to take us on a rundown of the finishing positions there and what our grid will be for the race.
So on pole position, really good lap. We do have FNR Jagermal in the McLaren. In P2 we have Bowers, 2/10 behind. In P3 we have James Dovey. P4 we have Pro Mayhem. P5 and P6 are covered by the two Mercedes of Thomas and Adam. We have Anton in P7, Mikey P8, Rise P9, and that's Elias in P10. Sorry if I butchered that pronunciation. We have Bradley 11th, Second 12th, Zamin 13th, Godson 14th, and Abzi in 15th, getting disqualified.
We do. So you've done it before the timer ran out as well, so cracking effort. Because
yes,
when I first started commentating, it took me a little while to understand how quickly sometimes I had to read out the names and the positions as well. But yeah, cracking effort there.
I just saw the time and decided to just try to say it as quickly as possible without butchering their names.
Yeah, don't worry. I don't think any of us have managed to get Elias's pronunciation correct just yet. Okay, so we are back at the track for the race, and the sun is out at the moment, but there are some dark clouds gathering overhead, so we are going to possibly see a bit of rain towards the end of the race, which could spice things up quite nicely.
What I find interesting is what these guys will be starting the race on, which tyre compound. I do think they might go for some hards if it is going to be raining, but
yeah, and just go for the clear run, but who knows? As you say, it's track position is imperative here, but how far away is the rain? Normally the game is, well, Jeff's never correct on how far away the rain is, but I don't think I'd be starting on softs if I was at the front or anywhere on this grid, to be fair.
definitely not. But Jeff is this. Jeff and this game, they're very they can deceive you. I'm really trying to get my words out here, but
So we do
what I'm trying to say
have...
is,
Yargamel has gone for the hards, as well as Dovi. Oh,
I
Pro
love
Mayhem
this
has
starting on the top.
switched out as well.
Bowers and PT opting to go into the soft compound.
I would say if he can get a good launch here, he should have Yargamel into turn 1. Pro Mayhem, who's glitched out of the lobby again with connection issues.
Hopefully we'll be able to start the race. I've seen many times a guy lag out in the formation lap and was unable to compete.
He's back in now, so fingers crossed he can take control of the car before the lights go out. But no, some interesting strategies throughout the field. There are a couple of guys going to go for the soft until the rain comes, and then goes to the intermediates.
Well, these softs, they're going to have a huge, I'd say about a 2-second lap advantage to the hards, because the hards, they take a really long time to heat up, so as long as Baz can get in front, he'll be really good.
Yeah, I do think off the line he should have the jump to turn 1. Will Pro Mayhem and Thomas be able to jump James Dovey? It's going to make turn 1s 2 and 3 very interesting. As Yargamel lines his car up in P1 and the rest of the field follows suit. Okay, the lights are coming on, but as ever when they go out the cars necessarily won't leave the grid, and they don't, so there's no change there. However, the engines are revving now, and we are away for the Canadian Grand Prix for the F2 tier of CSGB Racing. And Bowers, as I mentioned, has got the jump, but Yargamel has held on. Bowers looking like he's got some connection issues there, jumping over the screen a little bit, but Yargamel on the hard tyres has managed to get the jump, and it looks like we've got everyone through. He says that, and Saska's gone around, and there is a big pile up at the back. The two Renaults are involved, Gogs is involved. And they're underway again, but there is damage there. One of the Renaults has lost a massive amount of his front wing, while the one behind looks to be fully intact, and we have a VSC. Not too sure what happened there.
I didn't really see what happened there either. I think it was probably just in the entry of turn 3 and 4, someone maybe turned into someone else and that just hurt everyone else behind. But I was really thinking to myself how these guys really could keep turn 1 clean and like your tier, but
the F1 tier didn't. Yeah, I'd already thought that. So we're green again on the track, and after the first couple of laps, do you expect the penalties to start coming in?
Yeah, especially after the VSC, the tyres are cold, so these guys will be taking a lot by the line.
Thomas in the Mercedes kisses the wall of champions with the rear of his car, somehow keeps it in line. And Bowers now all over the back of Yargamel, who is sliding quite a bit on them hard tyres.
Yeah, just saw into the run up onto turn 1, Pro Mayhem getting past Adam, so he's looking to mount a comeback drive after his unfortunate really poor start.
And Bowers back at the front is hunting Yargamel down.
Bowers really needs to get it done this lap, preferably before the DRS is enabled.
Yeah, Yargamel had a really good defensive line there, just sort of put the car in the middle of the track, because we've got Anton and Dovi coming together there. A little bit of contact, but Dovi will be struggling on them hard tyres. So we're on board with Pro Mayhem into the final chicane. Takes a very wide entry to the final part. Has to let off there. Pro Mayhem is the fastest man on the track. As again, Bowers' connection not looking to be the most stable with the car jumping all over the place, but he is jumping all over the back of Jagermel at the moment.
Yeah, Thomas has picked up wing damage. I think he went to the back of Bowers, whether that was lag or not. But...
we have our first penalty there for Anton as well, as Pro Mayhem gets the move done on Dovey. And he'll be launching a charge for the front guys now as well. But yeah, Thomas not able to see from the camera angle just yet where that wing damage is. Seems to be maintaining decent pace. Well, on my screen he's got both his end plates, has he? No, he hasn't. He's lost his front right, and that shows just as he comes down into the hairpin there.
They're going to need some full course cautions or something, because this front happens right.
Okay, Bowers is going to go for the move into the chicane. A real dangerous place to try and make an overtake, but he gets it done, and that should be it. He's got the DRS down the straight, and it's all bunched up behind him now, as we've got almost 3 wide at one point there, as Jagermel has lost out massively there and gone back to P4.
Well, Thomas and Anton definitely do have Bowers to thank for letting him have Jagermel have a poor exit and just gliding through.
Yeah, well now Jagermel's got Pro Mayhem all over the back of him, and I think the soft tyre guys, they've probably got another 4 laps maximum before the tyres start to slide up a little bit, spin up out of the corners.
Yeah, the pit window usually does start at lap 7 for the soft runners, and as looking at the skies at the moment, they are still looking quite nice and blue, but so I do wonder what tyres these guys will go on when they pit.
Anton picks up his second 3-second penalty of the race, whilst Jagermel picks up his first there. And Pro Mayhem sets another fastest lap of the race as well. He still hasn't managed to get past Jagermel. Oh, as Jagermel just a little bit sideways out of 2.
He's done a lot to defend, but these hards really haven't warmed up for him at the moment. There's a lot of time.
One person's pace doesn't look bad on the hard tyres is James Dovey in P6, as Gog picks up a 3-second penalty as well. But James Dovey's just sat quite nicely there. He's got a bit of space behind him, no one threatening him with a DRS. He's just dropped out of the DRS to Pro Mayhem now, but yeah, he seems to be holding relatively good pace on them hard tyres. Well, Jagermel is keeping tabs on Anton. Anton close behind Thomas, who does have wing damage. So Bowers, he's broken the DRS. Thomas has some incredible straight line speed.
Yeah, different well to not fall off completely with that wing damage. It might be really light, like probably yellow or light green.
Yeah, he seems to be holding his own through the corners, and with the straight line speed that he's showing as well, making a difficult person to pass. But for this battle for second place is fantastic between 4 drivers. And Jagermel now all over the back of Anton on the hard tyres. So are the softs starting to cry enough?
Potentially these guys, these hard runners are looking quite good at the moment, but then again, Pro Mayhem, he's right on the back of Jagermel, and he's looking really feisty this race so far, so I think he'll want to get past Jagermel as quickly as possible. That's Lila's picking up a time penalty, but we have Pro Mayhem. He does look like he wants to make the move around the outside into the wall of chicanes. It is a drag race coming up to the corner. But it looks like Jagermel will be able to keep it in front.
Yeah. Oh, he taps the back of him on the exit, due to carrying more corner speed, as Anton gets his 9-second penalty. Now that is a 3 penalties in 7 laps. Bowers at the moment at the front. Breaking away, he's now got the gap up to almost 2 seconds due to Thomas with that bit of wing damage. He will be able to take advantage.
It all depends on what tyres he'll be going on to the next stint, because as long as Thomas can stay in P2, he is just pulling away further and further, but he still will have a pit stop. He'll still be a pit stop down to these guys on the hards.
Just jumped on board with Jagerman there to hear the traction coming out of the corner, and he seems to have it sorted now. Looks like the hard tyres are finally starting to warm up and find some grip. Oh, as we've got Anton into the pits. That is early.
He must be looking for a big undercut on his teammate and Thomas. The undercut is really powerful at Canada, so maybe it can work for him.
So Anton comes out of the pits, and he's going to come out just in front of Sass by the looks of it, as Dovi picks up a 3-second penalty as well.
Anton, there's a tiny bit of a gap in front of him which he can exploit, so hopefully he can abuse that undercut and gain some time to the front two.
Jagermel looks like he's starting to find some pace now. I was about to say he's just dropped Pro Mayhem off the back of him a little bit, but looking at the ERS, Pro Mayhem and Jagermel both on about 20%, as well as Thomas. No, are any of them going to go into the pits this time around? They're not. It looks like Jagermel's got a great run on Thomas here, and he's got the move done way before turn 1. So that is Jagermel back up into P2. And the gap to Bowers now 2.4. I think Thomas, with them soft tyres burning up and a slightly damaged front wing, is really going to be finding that car difficult to control through the corners. So we've got one of the Red Bulls coming out of the pits now, just Mikey as well. He's gone for another set of soft tyres.
Bold call, I like it. Hopefully it can work for him. Well, I did see that these guys on the softs, their pit windows are now open.
Yeah, Thomas.
Time penalty.
So the only one or two that I haven't seen with time penalties at the moment out of this group is Bowers and Pro Mayhem. I'm not going to try and keep up with the penalties for the entire race, because it will just be impossible.
It's always more fun at the end of the race to see who jumps you anyways.
Yeah, I agree. Not so much fun when you're in the actual race and you know that you have penalties and the guys around you don't. This is just a case of watching how far down you're going to drop. So Pro Mayhem has come into the pits. Will Anton be able to jump him? It looks like he's going to get him. And Anton passed there, as well as Zam, the new driver. So Pro Mayhem's going to come out in P10, but he's got a bit of clear air now, so he can really use their mediums to their full ability. Back at the front, Bowers, the gap was 2.4 when Jagermal got past Thomas. It's now 2.5, hovering around 2.4, so he's maintaining the gap. Bowers looking like he's got good pace.
Yeah, just noticing the skies as well. It's beginning to get a lot darker, so these guys, the rain is coming, and it's coming very soon.
Yeah, are we seeing here though possibly that Bowers may have made a bit of a mistake going for the soft tyres, because he's now coming into the pits and it is nowhere near spitting, let alone any form of rain. The question is Anton going to jump his teammate? And it looks like he is. Oh, as Pro Mayhem now picks up a 3-second penalty as well, and the undercut so powerful that Anton has jumped his teammate. But Bowers has come back out on the soft tyres. Now, are the Ferrari team going to play strategy here? Is Anton going to allow Bowers to go past on the faster tyre?
I'm not one to believe in heavy team orders, but I think if there was more time than any, it would have to be at this scenario right now. It does look Anton is coming off the racing line unless he is defending. I hope he lets him through.
No, he's
really
gone past, so strategy work there by the Ferrari team. I would imagine you'd believe in team strategy if it came to the last race of our season and you needed me to move out of your way. I mean, what would your feelings be different on it then?
Oh yeah. Definitely, but I think my championship's looking bleaker and bleaker as those go on, but the constructor's looking good, so maybe you do need to do some strategy calls. But Pro Mayhem getting past Jam, looking to P9 on the mediums, maybe he's called the wrong strategy here. The rain is, I'd say it's coming in the next 6 laps, it will be starts fitting.
It is getting darker and darker. I think the strategy winner here has got to be Yargamel.
And James, these guys looking really good on the hards and the medium runners.
You look at Thomas now, if he was to pit, irregardless of having his wing replaced, he would come out in P10.
I really wonder what percentage his softs are on at the moment. They are looking really, really worn out. That's Bowers getting past Absi up into P6. I think it'll be an easy move into P5. I don't think Ryan's just going to fight it really hard.
Okay, Thomas now has James Dobby for company, who's on the hard tyres, and oh no! Dobby picks up a massive bit of damage there, losing his end plate, and I think the way he cracked that wall, that is going to be, I would say, close to orange on the colour of the damage.
Yeah, just one of them mistakes, like just Wall of Champions always catching someone out. It's already caught out quite a few drivers tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think what's happened there is he was picking up the DRS and the toe from Thomas, and he's just misjudged his entry speed into the chicane, trying to avoid cutting too much on the left, and then obviously the end result of that is there's a wall on the right which you tend to hit.
Oh, just looking at Thomas, his tyres are awful at the moment. He's really banking on the rain coming out in the 2 laps using the traction on exit. I think that'll make it easy for James to make the move past.
Thomas is going to stay out for another lap, but he must be getting close to puncher territory now.
100%. These softs were not meant to go this far into the race, so I'm surprised he's actually taken it this far.
Oh, Pro Mayhem waxed the wall, and he did have a bit of wing damage just before that. So I've got a lot of end plates missing off of the cars. Absy missing an end plate. Zams Williams is intact. He's got just Mikey chasing him down. Mikey's car has no damage either. So back at the front, the guy on the best strategy at the moment has got to be Yargamel.
So there we have Bowers charging his way back up into back through the field, overtaking one of the Mercedes up into P4. I wonder if he did take the fastest lap of the race, but could really help him.
Yeah, now would be the best time to take the fastest lap with the rain on the way.
It's currently his teammate of Anton who has the fastest lap of the race, 10/1000 between the 2 Ferrari drivers.
And Thomas stays out for another lap.
Yeah, he's fully banking on the rain coming. But I am seeing some bright patches, so I don't think the rain is coming at least till lap 20.
No, I'm just watching Bowers, and Bowers is taking 2-3 tenths out of him, if not more, at every corner. and then on the exit as well. As Bowers goes purple in the first sector, so is this where he now sets the fastest lap of the race?
Bowers is praying that that the rain doesn't come anytime soon, because this strategy could actually work for him.
Bowers now looking to make a move on Thomas coming down into the hairpin. He's got much more grip, so this should be... Well, he's going to wait for the DRS down the straight, and he's got a lot of ERS to use as well. Jagermel picks up his second 3-second penalty of the race. And the rain has come. Anton gets another 3-second. I believe that's now 12 for him.
At this rate, he's just going to get himself disqualified.
Okay, so the rain is falling now, so I suppose for Jagermel and Dovey, this has turned out quite nicely. 15 laps into the race. Not far off the time you would be pitting now to change the hard, so as optimal as it can be.
These laps, Thomas is going to suffer beyond compare. I think it might be game over for a potential podium for him. But then again, since I find him, they do have wing damage, so they will be losing as much time as him in the pit window. But if I was Bowers, I'd probably use all of my fuel and all of my ERS right now just to get that track position and gain as much as on the Jagermel as he possibly can.
Thomas comes into the pits, but it's too early for intermediates. He's going for the intermediates and a wing change, but it is far too early. Far too early.
Yeah, I don't think he had another choice. He really messed up his race here tonight.
And we've got a yellow in sector 3 as... I think that was Bradley probably spinning up there on the exit. Okay, the rain is starting to come down a bit heavier now though. The drops are appearing and we've got people boxing.
Thomas already straight lined it onto the grass in the braking zone at the exit of the pit lane, so
yeah,
really over
Elias
for him now.
Going on to the intermediates. And DRS has been disabled, so that normally is the cut-off point for the intermediates.
Ooh, Rice is just drifting through turn 8 and 9. Style points.
Jagermel picks up 5 seconds going into the pits. And everyone is now diving in.
That could really harm Jagermel, but...
Now where is Thomas? Thomas is only now coming out of the hairpin up to the back straight, and we've got a Renault of Sask. I'm not sure what happened there, but he just stopped almost. So everyone is boxing to put on the intermediate tyres. Now at the front we've got Jagermel, who definitely didn't serve his 5 in the pits. So he has... Oh, as he almost loses the rear of the car. Somehow holds on to it.
These guys must be underground drift kings or something. These guys just sliding through the track and holding it really nicely.
I do hope that everyone is able to do that, but okay, that is every driver now on the intermediate tyre. So up at the front, it was called by CSGB Rainman. Bowers is the wet weather specialist for F2. He has taken over a second out of Jagermel since he's come out of the pits. And honestly, if you put a wet setup on, which I think Bowers has gone with his setup a little bit more in line with a wet setup, I think we're going to see that gap come down dramatically over the next few laps. But as well as that, Jagermel has 6 seconds of penalties and a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits. So currently, not to spoil the party as it were, but Bowers is our net race leader. As Pro Mayhem picks up 3 as well.
Yeah, Bowers is currently on 2 warnings at the moment, so you're looking nice as long as you can keep it clean.
Now, will these intermediates go to the end, Dane?
With immense tyre saving, yeah, but I don't think it's going to be near puncture territory. But they're really gonna know when those tyres are dead.
No, you once told me that they wouldn't be near puncture territory, didn't you? And how did that work out?
Look, one of us didn't get a puncture, okay?
Well, I have been handed Albon's car, and we all know what's going on there, so... As Jagermel comes through the final chicane, sliding his way through, missing the Wall of Champions on the exit. Does look very tidy, but Bowers has taken another half of a second out of him, so...
We'd have the 2 Mercedes in 5th and 6th, really good constructors at the moment. I think Adam is letting his teammate through. Thomas, I believe, is the quicker driver from what I've seen so far. Maybe Thomas can go on a bit of a comeback drive. I believe he was P3 in qualifying, so he does have pace in the wet.
Well, we've got Anton just up in front of them, but he does have an incredible amount of penalties, so... I do think there is still a battle on for the final podium position, as I'm sure James Dovey's got 2 penalties. But we'll see at the end of the race how it all pans out. We still have 15 laps to go, or 15 and a half, should I say. I do feel like this race has been going for quite some time already.
It's going to go even longer now. The gap's really pulled out.
Yeah, the gap at the front though, 6.7 now, so that's 2 seconds since they came out of the pits. Rainman on the stream saying that the track is looking really wet, so are we going to go to wet tyres at some point?
Ooh, we have Pro Mayhem and Adam just hitting into the back of Adam when he tried to go for a switchback, and I think his wing is still intact, but the pace difference between these two is paramount, and I think Pro Mayhem will get the move done into turn 1. Just get a really good launch.
Now, Adam tries to go defensive. Pro Mayhem runs the car out of it, and Adam gives up the position a little bit there. I don't think he really had much choice. Pro Mayhem had the line on the inside, and the car was always going to run a little bit wider on the exit. I think it's safe to say that Adam avoided the inevitable there had he have kept his car on the outside.
Definitely, I think is that.
Oh, it's got
Zach
Sam.
is going to try the wets.
Yeah, Sam and Sask have gone into the pits and put the wet tyres on. And we'll jump back to the race leader Jagermel, and he continues. I don't think it's wet enough for full wets. If you go back to what the conditions looked like at the start of qualifying.
Yes, I think this is peak intermediate conditions actually, so I don't know why these guys, well I guess Zach is understandable because he didn't really have much to lose, but I'm pretty sure Sam was in the points, or still is technically.
Well, there's certainly peak condition for Bowers because he's now got the gap down to 5.7 seconds, and with Jagermel's penalties in effect, he is extending his lead more and more, as Goggs picks up 3 seconds there as well.
I did say at the end of our comms party, Bowers, I wanted him to win by 20 seconds, and looking at the moment, especially with the pens.
Oh no!
Ooh.
Whoa!
God, I will stop talking about you right now. I do not want to curse you, mate.
Yeah, if he does watch this back, I'm sure he'll be having words with you next week.
Forget I said anything. Just continue your race, man.
Yeah, just let him go. So the gap back up to 6 seconds now. Bowers having a bit of a wake-up call there, I would imagine. He's just taken a couple of attempts at a Ygamel through the hairpin though, so looks like he's back on it. As I say, possibly the wake-up call that he needed there. Just to let him know that the conditions are possibly worsening. It looks like there is more spray coming off the tyres now.
I think probably lap 30 will see some heavy wet conditions, but I don't think these guys will want to chance it with the pit stop because there just won't be enough laps left to make it any time.
Just watching on board with Zam now, and he's got Abzi on the intermediates behind him, who's taken absolute seconds out of him everywhere. Yeah, he's got the better run there as well, and he's passed. Gogs will be next in line to get the move done. Back at the front. Oh, Zam getting really sideways.
I believe it in the feature race. It is a top 12 will get points. So
it is, yeah. So Gogs gets the move done on Zam and puts himself into that final point scoring position. As Zam decides to come in, he's going to go back onto the intermediates. Back at the front, the gap now just 5 seconds.
I really hope that wasn't Jeff that just baited him into the wet compound. That'd just be heartbreak.
Oh, with his usual, we're not sure.
Where were you when I needed you most?
Okay, so Bowers holding that gap steady at 5 seconds now.
Yeah, what's annoying is Thomas has gained us a lot of time onto Anton.
So we've got Sask just coming out of the pits just behind James Dovey, so he's been lapped. Behind the top 3 now, and there's blue flags everywhere at the moment. Oh no! And Sask comes flying into turn 5, and loses a bit of wing and half spins Bradley as well. A complete misjudgment of the corner entry speed. Bowers has now got the gap down under 5 seconds.
Questionable decision from Michael to go on top of the wets. He was in a really comfortable points paying position, so I don't know why he'd really take a risk like this.
We'll watch the gap between him and Elias, who is on the intermediate tyres. It's coming down, but it's not coming down in the chunks that we saw on Zam when Absi was chasing him down.
Yeah, in that one corner, I think he's just lost about 5/10 through there, I think. But we see Thomas right onto the back of Anton. Will he try and make a late lunge into turn 1? No, going to wait.
I think we are going to see full wet tyres before this race ends on all of the cars.
Maybe besides from Thomas because he likes to risk wearing out all of the tyres he seems to be on.
No, and he's dragged himself back up to the back of Anton now. And he did go for a wing change when he pitted as well, so I know Anton has got a bit of front wing damage. He's missing his right end plate.
I remember how hard Anton is willing to defend this. He is losing heaps of time through the second sector.
And he's already lost quite a bit of time due to the penalties as well, so as Thomas gets very close to the inside and spins the car up by over-rotating. That destroys his traction out of the corner as Rizanovsky gets past Adam. Quiet race for Rizanovsky, but he seems to be working his way through the field quite nicely. He's now up to P7, and One driver who I don't want to curse, but I haven't seen his name pop up for any time penalties either. We've got Fenris Esports in the chat saying, go on, Yiger.
Thomas comes into the pit lane with some fresh intermediate compound, so he's going to be on an absolute charge these final 10 laps of the Grand Prix.
So Uspo is controlling the Fenris Esports chat. So good evening, Uspo. We're looking forward to having you back for Spa. Mikey is back in the pits and back onto the intermediates. So some tough strategy calls and wrong strategy calls from a few drivers here and there, but back up at the front, Yigermal continues on, but the gap is down to 3.2. I do hope Bowers catches him on track before the end of the race and we can see a little bit of a battle. I think the one to watch out for now is going to be Thomas.
I agree, yes. On those fresh compounds of Intus, he's going to have so much more pace than the guys in front, because fresh Intus versus one Intus, the gap is huge. But I have Sachs picking up a time penalty all the way in the last position, but I've seen Bowers' pace on one lap, but I'd love to see how he can battle I should say.
Well, I think we're going to see it because the gap is now down to 2.8. Bowers looking very, very slick in these wet conditions. And Yigermal picks up another 3-second time penalty. So that's now 9 plus 5, I believe, for Yigermal. And
that might have been just game, set, match for Bowers. I wonder if he knows about all these penalties.
Well, the one person that's not going to know is James Dovey, who is sat in P3. Now he's just over 11 seconds behind Yigermal. Now I'm sure he has got 1 or 2 penalties, but if he can bring the gap down, he could sneak up to P2 in this one.
I've only seen him pick up 1 penalty, so he is looking nice at the moment. Yigermal may not have had the best of races limits-wise.
Rizanovsky looking very tentative into the hairpin and really struggling for traction on the exit there as well. And all the time, Thomas is coming. Pro Mayhem now right behind Anton. Is he going to go for the move? It looks like he is. Another one into turn 1 as Pro Mayhem gets the move done. And he's passed. Can Anton switch back and get the traction? It doesn't look like it. And that's Pro Mayhem up into P4. But he is 20 seconds behind James Dovey.
I'm really impressed by Pro Mayhem's drive tonight. His aggressive style, I'm really enjoying watching at the moment. He's just been carving his way back up the field.
Yeah, the gap at the front though now, Yigermal to Bowers, 1.7 seconds. And obviously there is no DRS due to the conditions, but once you get within that magic second of the driver in front, you just seem to make it easier and easier to pull them in. As Anton picks up another 3-second time penalty. And at the moment,
this race never going to get points.
Yeah, I think Anton could possibly be dropping back to maybe he may just drop 1 position at the moment, but we'll see come the end of the race. Thomas has got past Rizanovsky, so Thomas will now be doing everything he can to hunt down Anton. Although I do think he's got a free position there with the penalties. Back at the front, Bowers under that magic second now. Yigermal looking like he's struggling a little bit. As I say, I do believe that Bowers went for a more wet setup on his car in qualifying. I mean, if Yigermal did that quali lap on a drier setup, then it was a phenomenal effort. But in terms of long race pace, it isn't paying off for him as the gap now almost half a second. However, as we both know, Dane, it's all good catching someone in these conditions, but passing them is another thing completely. They both have a good amount of ERS. Yigermal decided not to use his. As they come into the chicane, Bowers gets very close, but knowing the penalties that Jagermel has, I'm sure Bowers does, I don't think I'd be jumping for a move on the inside.
I wonder how he wants to play, whether he wants to go for glory or just sit back. I think he just wants to go full glory and win the race on track, assert his dominance. And he is looking to do so right now. He is absolutely flying at the moment.
He is, but when you sat behind the car in front, especially in these conditions, it can make it quite difficult to see your turning points. So you do, I believe, run a risk of potentially just cutting a little bit too much and picking up a penalty, just as Goggs has done there with another 3 seconds. Oh, and James Dovey picks up another 3 seconds, so I think that maybe Jagermel sat on P2.
I don't know, he still has that 5 seconds added on, and I believe he has picked about 3 penalties on track, so as long as Dovey can keep the pace and maybe Bowers can keep Jagermel laps what's the word? Busy, then just keep that P2.
So come into the chicane one more time. There is just 5 laps to go. And the second half of this race has gone, well, it feels like it's gone quicker as Bowers looks to make the move. Jagermel gives him a bit of squeeze. Oh, there is no room on the outside, and they make contact and half spin, and Bowers does the sensible thing and gives that up before it gets ugly. And just in all of that, Thomas picked up a 3-second penalty as well whilst pushing. Were you watching that incident there between Jagermel and Bowers, Dane?
Yeah, really aggressive defending from Jagermel. Pretty good defending as well. I think he knows what he has to do if he wants to win this race. He knows that Bowers does have the superior pace, and he just wants to use everything he can in his power to keep it from behind him.
Yeah, I think Bowers wants the pride of winning on track. Jagermel wants the pride of crossing the line in first. He'll know that his penalties are going to see him drop down 1, maybe 2 positions. But if these two keep battling like this, the one person that will be rubbing his hands together will be James Dovey in P3.
Definitely, but as long as these guys can keep it clean, I think the gap is large enough
We have
to
a
be
yellow
safe.
in Sector 2. We haven't... Yeah, Brad led around. He's going again, so there will be no VSCs.
Going through turn 1, we do have Absi looking to make a move down the inside of Adam. Adam was able to hold it well around the outside, but it does go wide through the exit of turn 2. Can Absi capitalize on this? No, it does seem like Adam does have the superior traction and is able to hold P9.
Oh, and all of that, he does pick up a 3-second penalty by maybe driving just a little bit too aggressively to hold the position. Just missing his turning in points there, but the conditions do look like they are getting very close to full wet tyres. And as we say that, Sask is back out on wet tyres, but even with these conditions like this, I don't think he's going to affect anyone should the conditions worsen.
I think this may help some of these guys on the inters to worn tyres, because maybe if they go off the line they can cool their tyres down with the standing water.
Okay, I think Bowers is going to look to make a move on Jagermel as we come down the straight again here. Jagermel has saved up a lot of ERS though, so that's going to make him very difficult to overtake, and he's got it on now. Yeah, Jagermel holds the position there, and it looks like almost that little coming together with him has woken Jagermel up, and he's sort of found a little bit more pace now.
Perhaps, or maybe it's just Bowers just wanting to maybe chill out and just take it to the end of the race.
Yeah, we've got Goggs.
Seen how
Goggs and Adam very close at the front, and the conditions from Goggs' onboard look absolutely terrible, and I do think we are at the, I would say we're now at the, I'm going to risk it now and I'm going to become my own Jeff, but I would say we're at a point here where the wets would probably be the better tyre, but with 2.5 laps to go, you're not going to pit.
Unfortunately not. I did see Gogs make a really nice switch back on Adam through the exit of turn 8, I think it was. So he's now up into P10, really decent drive from him, I should say.
Okay, we've got Thomas all over the back of Anton on their much fresher intermediate tyres. So he'll be looking to get that move done before the end of the race, but I'm sure he'll know as well that Anton does have a significant amount of penalties as he gets very close through here. And Anton's struggling now, it looks like, yeah, struggling on them intermediates. The rear kicking out. Thomas gets the better traction and he gets the move done. And I think sensible driving there from Anton. He knew he had nothing to fight back with, and into that corner is you can really ruin not just your own race but somebody else's. So back at the front we have just under 2 laps to go. Bowers and Jagermel still going at it. Bowers wanting this win on the track. Jagermel wanting to cross the line in first. What do you do though at this point, Dane? Where, knowing that your pace is stronger, would you, knowing that you've got P1 because of penalties, would you just sit back?
Nah, I'm all about pride of winning, so I'm probably writing my letter, licking the stamp and just posting it because I want to win the race. And I think Bowers is thinking the same. He is getting a lot closer and beginning to use a lot more of his ERS. Maybe he can get the move done into the entry of turn 1.
I think Jagermel has got too much ERS for him to be able to make the overtake. As we come into the chicane for the penultimate time, Bowers gets very close, keeps it tidy, gets the power down on the exit. And it looks like Jagermel got slightly better traction coming out of there, but we go on to the final lap now. Can Jagermel hold on for the win on track? Will Bowers send one up the inside, as Dane says, before the race has ended? He is just 3 tenths behind. And it has been a fantastic drive by, well, both drivers really. I know take Jagermel's penalties out of the situation, but he called the strategy at the start just right. Bowers' wet pace has been absolutely phenomenal.
I must agree, this man has absolutely been flying this wet stint, and maybe he can take the win into the final corner and just take it all, but he will be winning this race as it stands.
Oh, Jagermel gets
taking the podium, but
just in front of these guys, there were 3 cars that are about to be lapped just in front of them that are all battling. Fortunately, I think there was enough of a gap for these guys not to get involved with that. But as we come down the back straight for the final time, should I say, Bowers gets closer and closer and closer, but it isn't going to be enough to get the move done on track. Oh, and he picks up a 3 second for not really paying attention into the final chicane. But they cross the line, and Jagermel crosses the line first, but Bowers takes the win now.
Oh, and he takes it.
So if he does, he takes it by 1.7 seconds. So they're battling between Bowers and Jagermel at the end there, possibly enough just for Dovey to take P2. He'll be delighted with that. It keeps the battle for the championship very tight between Bowers and Dovey as well. As Pro Mayhem comes out of the final chicane, he comes to cross the line as well. He jumps Anton as well. Oh no, Anton hasn't finished. Sorry, I've just completely lost my train of thought there. But Anton, this is the one with, I believe, the most penalties. He crosses the line. Thomas jumps him. Rizanovsky jumps both Thomas and Anton and goes up to P5. What a result for Rizanovsky. As we watch Elias come over the line. Now Anton does secure P7. We've got Absi with Gogs close behind. And the final points positions go to, well, that went off the screen, but what a race. I do like it when the conditions change. When I say that, I do like it to watch and do commentary on. I'm not a massive fan of it when I'm actually racing in it.
These guys really have given us a good race, though.
Okay, so Bowers takes another win. James Dovey will be delighted with P2, and Jagermel solid P3, but after starting P1, I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with the penalties costing him a shot at the win there.
100%, but it is always a lesson learned for him. Hopefully he can take into the next round and consider those penalties.
Okay, so a rundown of the finishing positions there, and there was only one driver by the looks of it that didn't get penalties. Bowers takes P1 from James Dovey, and Jagermel rounds out the podium. Pro Mayhem comes home in fourth, with Rizanovsky taking P5 after staying penalty free and jumping up a couple of positions just there at the end of the race. Thomas comes home in P6. We've then got Anton in P7 with Elias in P8. P9 was Absi with Adam in 10th, and our last 2 points finishers were the Red Bulls of Just Mikey and Gogs. We then had Zam, the new driver. He came home in 13th, with Bradley and Sask rounded out 14th and 15th. So that is it for the feature race, guys. We will be back tomorrow night for the sprint race. And Dane, the invite is there if you want to join me for the comms on that, as Ben isn't going to be able to do comms for a little while. So if you are about, feel free to join us for the sprint race. If tonight's is anything to go by. Fantastic. So, guys, thanks for watching. Those of you that tuned in and commented in the chat, thanks as ever. Any of you watching this stream later on, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so that you know when we go live. We will be back tomorrow night. But other than that, thank you ever so much, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.